Hey everyone, welcome to Growing with Sarah. I'm Sarah. No, because since let me just double check that. I don't know how many seeds I have left. Oh my god, I'm not having light on this whole time. Wow, this is gonna get tough today. Okay, let's try again.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Hi everyone, welcome to Growing with Sarah. I'm Sarah and I'm so happy you guys are here today. I'm super excited to be going through the last batch of seeds that I'm starting for 2024. It's been a long road, but it's been so much fun making these videos and sharing with you guys down in the comments, and it's just been a blast. I'm going to talk about the perennial flowers and one grass that I'm starting from seed through winter sowing, and some that I'm starting indoors. I'm also going to talk a little bit about how I organize my seed starting schedule. It's taken me 3 videos to share with you guys how many seeds I'm starting, so I definitely need to stay organized with that. If you want to learn more about growing perennials from seed and how to organize your seed starting schedule, then let's get started. First thing I'm going to talk about are alliums. I have 2 alliums here, Oreo Phylum and Schuberti. I'm really interested in seeing how long it really takes for an onion to get to full size, because when you grow onions in your garden, like regular onions to eat or chives or leeks and those types of things are all in the allium family, they're a biennial. So they will not flower until their second year. With most perennials, however, you really do have to wait 3 years to sometimes to see a flower at all. So I'm interested with starting these from seed. Will I see flowers in the 2025 growing season? That would be really cool. More than likely, I won't see the plants get to full size by the 2025 growing season, but we could see flowers by then. And so with the rest of these things that I'm starting, we might not see flowers that early. So that's something you want to think about when you're starting perennials from seed. Yes, it is definitely cheaper. It is majorly cheaper to start perennials from next thing I'm going to be talking about is hellebores, and I have to say that I searched high and low for seeds for hellebores, because when I went to the greenhouse the plants were $25 a piece for one plant. When you start perennial plants from seed, it can take 3 years before you see any flowering come from that plant. The next plant I'm going to be talking about is hellebores. The first grouping is the prize winners mix. Really gorgeous. I love all the colors in there. They're single flowers. Beautiful. I'm super excited I just want to have so many hellebores all over the shady side of my yard. I think they're very elegant, unique flowers, but they're also very hardy and can handle that cold, and they come up so early and they just add to the woodland feel that I already have on that side of the yard, because my neighbors has a tree line there of maples. Having the hellebores all over, it just feels like it's going to be a little magical woodland garden, and I'm so excited for it. The next one we have is Miss Jekyll's Scented. Supposedly has a really nice smell. It's pretty plain, just the green, but I think that it's still going to be gorgeous. And then to add scent into the shaded woodland garden is such a bonus. And the last one is their doubles mix. Very pretty, lots of different colors in there, and double flowers. Those will be real showstoppers. Okay, up next is a seeds that I'm going to be starting in the house. This is columbine. So columbine only needs 3 to 4 weeks of cold stratification. What I'm going to end up doing with these seeds is just putting them in the refrigerator for a month and then starting them indoors. The Leprechaun Gold is one, sorry, the ring light there, is one that I started last year. It's really awesome. On this picture, you can't really see because the flowers are gorgeous and they show the flowers here, deep, deep purple, blue purple with ruffly double flowers on it. But the leaves are what's super interesting on this plant because they are like a splotchy variegation on them and they're just gorgeous. They grew really great for me. I started them that same way, put them in the refrigerator for a month, and then started them just in my house. They grew fine. They were in their pots a little too long, like everything else was last year. Once I got them in the ground, they grew fine. These are not too difficult to grow. And so I have a couple of these where 2024 will be their second growing season. Maybe we might see flowers off of them. That would be really cool. The next variety is the William Guinness. That's a classic. Love it. And then I have a few sort of more unique ones from the Plant World Seeds. This one is called Fragrance. So a nice scented columbine. And just the softest, most lovely little ballet pink. Oh, these are gorgeous. Columbines are also a shade-loving plant. They can be in a partial or full shade. These are really going to add to that magical woodland feeling. I'm so excited for those. I got some really great looking columbines. The next one is Nana Mini Star. Look at that with the purple and then the white tips. Mm. Oh my God, this is gorgeous. Simple but lovely. Oh, and then super showy. I got a few super showy ones here. Nora Barlow. This whole series is fantastic. Really gorgeous. And I like the sort of more orangey shades that's going to pop in the shade garden for sure. This one is so unique looking. It just has these little ruffly petals that stack, and it's called Snowballs. How gorgeous is that? And last but not least is another sort of more frilly one like the Nora Barlow, but this one is called Green Apples. Really gorgeous. I'm so excited to grow these. I think out of all the seeds, except for maybe the bunny tails grass, out of all the seeds I'm growing this year, these columbine and hellebores are the most exciting to me. I cannot wait to see these in full bloom and to have these in my garden for years. Next we have Echinacea, Allen's Pride. This can get started in the house. It doesn't necessarily have to have any cold stratification. I'm not going to do anything special for this. You definitely could do a cold stratification on it and do like a winter sowing type thing with Echinacea. That's not a problem, but you don't have to. Next thing I'm going to be growing is the Blue Buddy Grass. This is a blue fescue. These stay relatively small, 12 inches high by 6 inches wide. I believe this comes with a minimum of 25 seeds. I'll probably be starting all of these. I really want to add a lot of grassy texture, but because my yard is so small, I need to kind of keep it short. I can't have big tall grasses everywhere. I do have one tall grass out there, but up by the front porch, but I can't have that all over the place. It's too overbearing. So I'm going to stick with the smaller grass for not only for the grassy texture, but also for that blue color. These do not need cold stratification. I can start them in the house. Next we have hollyhocks. Hollyhocks, I'm going to be direct seeding right into the ground. I'm not going to start these in the house. You definitely can. They're one of those plants that kind of prefers to not be transplanted. If you do start them in the house, you don't have to start them very early or anything like that. You can start them, I think, within a month of putting them out, no problem. But just know you want to put them in a container that's big enough so that their roots don't get, think of it kind of like a squash. You do not want them to get root bound and then get transferred out. They won't grow as well once you get them in the ground. They might not die, but they won't put on that big burst of growth that you want them to. So hollyhocks are a biennial, not technically a perennial, which means they flower every other year, but most of the time they reseed very nicely, so you're going to get flowers off of them every year. I love hollyhocks. I have that big stand of them on either side of the dog kennel of the black hollyhocks. I absolutely love them. They're gorgeous, they're romantic, they're old-fashioned, they're cottage, they're everything tall, they're stunning, really. And you can get little short ones too, like the majorette double champagne is a dwarf plant. So these could be more towards the front of a border or even middle of a border. The creme de cassis, gorgeous, gorgeous. I want to add some more sort of feminine colors and textures into the garden this year, and I think that these hollyhocks are really going to help with that. Next up is Himalayan poppies. So these are a perennial plant. They can handle the temperatures of -20 to -30 degrees in my zone 4B every year and come back. They reseed quite nicely. They're not like the bread seed poppy or the California poppy or even the oriental poppies that you see have a little different structure. Their flowers are very simple, gorgeous, and they grow in shade. They like a moist, shady area. So the south side of my house, the walkway down the south side of my house is going to be perfect for these flowers. I'm going to do these as a winter sowing project, but I'm not going to sow these until March. For the winter sowing in the milk jugs and going outdoors, I have two different timetables for that. The alliums and the hellebores are going to go outside this month, this December. So that'll be actually the next video I'm going to be filming. And then I have some that I'm going to be doing in March. And these Himalayan poppies are a part of that. So I have the Lingholm, which is a blue. Gorgeous. Oh, those are going to be so gorgeous in the early spring with that blue color. It's just going to be so stunning. I cannot wait. And then the Bailey alba, which is white. So together these are and they get really tall, like a breadseed poppy. They get 4 to 5 feet tall. They're just going to be stunning. I can't wait. And poppies, although they're not long lived, they then get those heads on them that are so cool. So you get sort of like a double, even a triple, because the initial seed pod, when it's turned down like this and it's kind of hairy and everything like that, even that is visually interesting. But then you get the flower and then you get the seed pod. You can't beat poppies. Is the brown-eyed Susan, the triloba. So I grew these last year and had them on the north side of the house. I've talked about these a few times. I just love them. They're so cheery. They bloomed for a really long time. They are big and give a lot of movement and just all around a really perfect flower to have to brighten up a border, and they did fantastic. And they can do full to partial sun, so they were fine on the north side of my house. I definitely want to have more of these. We have the second set of seeds that I'm going to be doing in the March winter sowing, and that is scabiosa. So the scabiosa does require a cold stratification of at least 2 weeks. I'm going to be giving them the cold stratification of, well, my last frost date here is June 1st. So they'll be going out in March. I don't know. You'll see when I show you how I do my scheduling that I always put the first of the month for when I'm going to start the seeds, but it could still be later on. And you'll see that too, that I have a column for like the actual start date, because some things say between 4 to 6 weeks, 8 to 10 weeks, or even 8 to 12 weeks. So I'll kind of go by the package. I don't think there's a problem putting these out in March and letting them have a few months. So then I should start to see growth on them by the beginning of May. I have two of the scabioses here that are perennial, and that is the Fama White and the Fama Blue. I know I've talked about these before when I did my Baker Creek seed haul and catalog video, which I'll link that in the description for you guys. And I'll also link the Plant World Seeds seed haul. Those are all of the seeds. We're through them all. And let's see what we got here. Put them back in my very fancy organizational reusing of Ziploc baggies here. And so that's everything, guys, that I'm gonna be starting in 2024. So excited and so excited to be sharing with you guys. It's like I was talking with David in the comments, and he was saying that, all these videos have him itching to start seeds. And I'm like, making all these videos has me itching to start seeds. But I'll get to do the winter sowing here in December. Then we'll have a little break in January. And then the real seed starting will begin in February. So let's take a look at how I organize my seed schedule. Okay, so let's talk about how I organize my seed schedule. So normally every year I do a write-up. I write out everything that I'm going to be growing for the year, and I will take the notebook and I'll dedicate a page to each month that I'm going to be starting seeds in. This year, for the sake of my sanity and for keeping good records and for being able to show you guys what I'm doing very clearly, I'm doing it in an Excel format. This is very easy to do. This is very simple. I'm not using any formulas or anything like that. So I know that some people can get very overwhelmed by Excel. I just wanted to show you guys that I have tabs for each month here. I have specific tabs colored for the winter sowing projects. Then I have February. That's what we're looking at right now. In February, I have eucalyptus, geranium, and lavender. And then I have the variety here. And then I have my actual start date column and the number of seeds that I'm starting. And as I go along through out the year, I'll add a column that says the number of plants that I actually planted. That helps me keep track of the success rate that I had with each plant. So this is a great place to be able to keep track of how the growing season went. You can add columns for how many plants you ended up actually putting out, versus how many you started, how many actually came, how many actually flowered. Even like with the geraniums, I could say, oh, I planted 50 and 45 of them were red. So maybe I don't want to do the mix again. Maybe I want to do more specific colors to make sure that I get those colors. It's just a really nice place to be able to track everything that happened in that growing year, and you don't have to try to keep a whole bunch of notebooks all over the house and flip through pages and go back year after year after year. So this is how I'm doing it this year, and I think that I'm really going to like it. Last year I did not just the notebook, but I also did Ziploc baggies where I had everything that I was going to start in May in a bag, everything that I was going to start in, April in a bag. Then I moved all the seeds into a different bag that said, this is what I planted. So that took a lot to stay organized with that. And it took a lot of Ziploc baggies. I don't want to do that again this year. So I think that having in this Excel format is really going to make that easier for me. Let's go ahead and look at a couple of seed packets to see how we can identify when to start seeds. Okay, so the first thing you can do to find out when to start your seeds is to look at the seed pack. This is going to have a ton of information for you, and depending on the company that you're purchasing from, it can have different information. This one is from Baker Creek, and it does tell you a little bit of information. You can look. So here's like a description. Next, you have some planting instructions below. So this says that we want to start these 6 to 10 weeks before our last frost. With tomatoes, I like to go 8 weeks. They get big, so you have to consider that. I don't want to have a bunch of 2.5 foot plants in my house for 3 months. So I need to consider how long they actually need and how much space I actually have. How much capacity do I have in my growing space inside my house for plants, right? How long can I have a larger plant in my house? And tomatoes are going to be some of your largest. And then there's also some more growing information when you turn to the side. It tells you how long it takes for the seed to sprout, which is really handy, especially with like the perennial flowers that I'm doing. Some of those could take months to germinate. So I don't want to freak out and be like, oh my God, I can't see, there's no seeds, and just throw them away when really it was going to take months and months for those seeds to germinate in the first place. And then it gives you your ideal temperature for germination, how deep the seed should be. And then for actually space for planting these out, it has spacing information and what type of sun they should be in. And frost hardy, no, tomatoes are not frost hardy. So that's good information. When is your average last frost date? So my average last frost date is June 1st. On the packet, it says 6 to 10 weeks is when you want to start these indoors. So what I'm going to do is count backwards 6 to 10 weeks from June 1st back. I just consider each month to be 4 weeks. Now, some months may have 5 weeks in there, or they cross over and things like that. Or don't get caught up in those types of details. Just, consider it 4 weeks. If the plant is in the house a little while longer than 4 weeks or 8 weeks, that's okay. It's not going to hurt anything. And then there's things like hardening plants off and all of that you have to think about too, but we'll get to that later. This is just seed starting. So I put little tabs here for the first of the month of each month, and then I have these colored tabs which are for my winter sowing projects. My months start in February. So February 1st, March 1st, April 1st, May 1st, June, July, August. Okay, August is really the last month of the year that I should be starting seeds because my first frost date is somewhere around the last week of September. Typically, what I'll be starting that late in the year is sunflowers or maybe a cabbage like the Chinese golden cabbage that only takes 55 minutes. 55 that only takes 55 days. So this is for February right here. You can see this tab is what I'm going to be growing in February. I'm going to be growing the eucalyptus silver dollar, the geranium mix from Outside Pride, and then lavender torch blue and the torch minty ice. Now with the lavender, what I'm going to actually be doing here is not necessarily starting them, but putting them in the refrigerator because they need cold stratification. So those are going to go in the refrigerator for a month. I'll also be adding in the columbines here. So I'll just come in perennial. I think that's 2 ends. Flowers, just marking that as the start here. Highlight that as green so I can see easily. We'll start with columbine, which is also going to go in the refrigerator for a little while and for a month with the lavender. And I'll put in, so that's my plant column, and then my variety. I'll do Nora, Barlow, and then I'll list each variety down. I'll put the date that I actually put them in the refrigerator and the number of seeds that I put in. So that's pretty much it. And you can see in February, I just have a few things that I'm going to be starting. And then in March, we get a little bit more. We have a winter sowing in March. And then April is really the big month for me for starting seeds. I've got a ton of stuff that I'm going to be starting in April, so I want to make sure that I have all of my grow space set up by this time. I am going to be having an entire room dedicated to growing in this year, and I'm also going to make like a little filming office in there, so that will be coming. Stay tuned. We should be seeing that sometime in January. I'm excited for that, but April is really my biggest month for starting flowers. A lot of veggies get started at this point, all the tomatoes, the peppers, pretty much everything for veggies. And then in May is also a big month. So May is 1 month before my last frost. I'll be starting up just a ton of things like the cosmos and zinnias. I'll tell you, you can even start cosmos zinnias at like just a couple weeks before your last frost, before you're going to put them out. They grow super fast, and you don't want them to get like super leggy indoors. So you can even cut that time from a month to 2 weeks before your last frost or before you're going to put them out. Or if you're in a place where you have a long enough growing season, you can direct seed cosmos and zinnias, even marigolds too. And definitely I have nasturtium listed here, but those are going to get direct seeded. I'm going to put them out in my garden where I want them to be in May. So they'll have a little bit of cold period, not too much. May isn't bad, although we can definitely get snow. It melts off pretty quickly, and so it's not going to hurt the nasturtium seed. It will help it actually. Even though nasturtiums as plants are very frost tender, as seeds, they are not. They can self-seed very easily, and they do just fine with a little bit of cold and wet. I'll be starting the bunny tails grass several times throughout the year because it's a fast grower, and I want to have some for bouquets and some for drying. I want to have it through the whole season for my bouquets, and then I'll just bunch them up for drying from there. So you would see like bunny tails in a few different places. Like I'll start some in July. I think it's a 55-day. So probably I will even start some into August. Let me go ahead and add that in here. And then I'll also add in sunflowers. I'll grow those the same way where I do several sowings of sunflowers, at least one sowing a month, so that I have sunflowers all the way up to the end of the year. Everything that I have starting from seed in 2024 and how I'm organizing it. If you have any questions about how to start an Excel file or how to organize your seed starting, let me know down in the comments below. I'm so excited to have this third installment of the What I'm Starting from Seed in 2024 published, and I actually made a playlist. So if you haven't seen the first two, on the end slate of this video will be the playlist linked that you can just click on. And also I have a playlist of the garden tours from the 2023 growing season. So if you're starting to get the winter blues like I am already, you can go ahead and watch a whole bunch of garden tours and get refreshed and just and see all the green and flowers and lovely things out there. So that really is everything that I'm starting from seed in 2024. But it's not the end. Of course, we actually have to start the seeds. I'm going to be doing a seed starting for each of the varieties. We'll talk about what the seeds look like, how to plant them. Do they need light? Do they need heat? Do they need cold stratification? We're going to go through and do the how-to on the winter sowing. That's the next video. We're going to do seedling room tours. I'm super excited because I'm going to have like an actual seedling room this year, which is just fantastic to have a whole space set up and I won't have to fight the cats. We've got tons to talk about. I want to definitely talk about the type of equipment that I use, what you need, what you don't need, what you should spend more money on, what you don't have to splurge on. All of that great stuff is coming here in the next few months. Go ahead and subscribe if you don't want to miss anything. There's going to be tons of really fantastic information coming. Thank you guys so much for watching today. I appreciate you, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.